Today, I'm going to show you how to sculpt gel extensions that do not break using only soft gel. The techniques that I am going to share with you today are the same techniques I use in the salon and that give clients a minimum 3-week wear. I am Paola Ponce, a licensed manicurist and certified soft gel instructor. And in this video, I'm going to take you through my proven process of no lift, no breaks, soft gel extensions, step by step. Let's get started. Alrighty, this nail has already been prepped at the cuticle area, so it's already had its cuticle work done. We are going to begin with our step 1, which is shortening the nail. For that, we'll need our clippers, and I like to clip the nails from side to side. I don't like to clamp down on the center because this causes the nail to split. Now we're going to move on to step 2, which is trimming the corners. And just clip them short. You want to get rid of these corners because corners are going to inhibit your form from fitting nicely underneath there. So you want to get rid of those corners so that that form can fit nicely. Step 3 will be shaping the nail, and for that you'll need an Emery board or a nail file that is not coarser than 180 grit. When you file your nail, remember to do so from one side to the other, and you want to shape it in this oval sort of round shape. So just follow your smile or your client's smile line here as a guide. Step 4 is buffing the nail, and we do this to remove the shine from the nail. The nail usually has a little bit of natural oils and moisture, but we really want to remove any shine. Shine is going to cause our gel to lift. We want to prep the side walls, get in there. That's usually the parts we miss when it comes to removing shine. And we also want to remove dead skin from the lateral folds. There you have it. You'll end up with a nice rounded oval shape, which is now ready for step 5, fitting the form. I first want to show you this form by Max Estrada, or Exclusive Nail Couture. And I want to show it to you because if you're a beginner doing extensions, this form is going to take all the nervousness out of it. Check out this pre-cut section here. And this is because most nails will have to be adjusted to the hyponychium of the client's nail. So it's ready to go. Look how nicely it tucks in, not just under the nail and it fits in the hyponychium area, but look at the corners. They're pretty much snug, like all the way tucked in to the form there without you having to make any further adjustments to it. So this is a great, any level, but especially if you're a beginner, it's a great form for you. Now, if you have a whole bunch of these forms, which are a little bit more common, right? The oval ones, go ahead and put your little sticky segment there in the back to give it a little bit more sturdiness and stability. But now we are going to adjust that hyponychium area, especially for mine now, I have it. And we're just going to keep this form's cut in mind. It's just kind of triangular, not super sharp, and again, it's just to fit that extra skin under the nail plate. Otherwise, you may hurt the client because that form is not sharp, but it's kind of firm, and it's very uncomfortable if it touches that skin underneath your nail. So we're gonna give it that ovalish, triangular, small cut. And you just need a little bit. You can cut a little bit more if you need to, but start small. Usually it's not a big adjustment. And you see how that form now fits so much more closer, like the sidewalls of my nail to the sidewalls, or I should say the corners of the form, are so much closer. Now, I want to show you, when you're adjusting your form, you want the bone of your finger to match that middle center line of the form. This is going to ensure that regardless of the shape or the direction that the client's natural nail is facing, the extension nail will be straight. No crooked nail here. All right, clip the wings at the end, and now look at the side profile of your finger. Make sure it matches also the side profile of your form, because we are creating a square nail. You want that form to go direct. It's just a continuation of your bone, essentially. You don't want the form to tip down, okay? Because we're doing a square nail. So keep it straight and don't over pinch here, because we're not building a stiletto or oval nail. Now, another further adjustment that you'll need to make to your nail is pinch tightly the underneath of the form to ensure that it doesn't pop up, and also to start giving your nail some narrowness. Clients like slim nails. They do not like the duck feet. Most don't, at least. I've never had a client that did anyways. All right, so give it a nice pinch underneath the finger. Clip your wings, or I should say tighten up your wings a little bit more, and make sure it's super straight. If you're creating a square nail, make sure that form is not tipping down. That's for an oval nail. All right, nice and straight. Make sure that the corners of your cuticle area match the corners of the free edge. Okay, step 6 will be giving your natural nail a base coat. And if you're using potted gel, which is what we're using for this video, obviously, make sure that you have a designated brush for your base coat. Do not mix your builder and your base coat brush. Have 2 separate brushes, okay? Now you want a thin but generous layer of this soft potted gel product. You want to push it as close as possible to the cuticle area. Pull it down and cure. Step 7 here is to build the free edge. Flash cure it for 5 seconds. All right, so when I build my free edge, I drop a bead, and you'll notice I don't go immediately into connecting my free edge, right, with this gel onto the natural nail. Grab a little bit more product, set it in the center, and I'm going to frame the free edge. So decide on the length, and then extend the gel to that desired length from sidewall to sidewall, and then start connecting it to the natural nail. If you immediately start connecting it from the nail to just the length, then you're going to have some of that gel, or a lot of that gel, seep underneath the nail form, in between the nail form and the natural nail. Now notice I'm starting to go vertical, because now it is okay to connect those 2 parts, and I keep myself brushing vertically because I want that nail to stay narrow. Okay, I find that when I used to go horizontally from sidewall to sidewall, then I'd end up with a wide nail, and so just keeping my brush perpendicular here allows me to continue to have a narrow nail here, and I'm connecting everything. Alrighty, so the next step here, step 8, is to pinch and full cure. So we flash cure for 5 seconds, we bring it out, get our pinching tool, right? These are called tweezers, pinching tweezers, and you want to find a comfortable place for them to rest. And once you do, you're going to hold the pinch for 5 seconds minimum, okay? Hold it, and after holding it for 5 to 10 seconds, you're going to give that nail a full cure. All right, step 9, we're going to remove the form, and the way you do that is by pinching the center of it like so. And you want to be very, very careful at this point, because you do not want to tear that free edge off. It is very thin, so poke your tweezers to the sides to release the form at the sides, and then just pull it down. And this part is like my favorite part. And the reason why we do this now versus first overlaying and then removing the form, it's because we don't really want to waste gel, and we also want to see our progress. Okay, and look at that C curve, nice curvature. That curvature gives it a strength. It's not a flat nail. And so now that we have the form off, we can basically see like our handiwork, how good we have done, right, or how bad, and we can correct it though. So now we move on to our step 10, which is going to be general shaping. This is another reason why we remove the form, is so that we can just give the nail, start giving the nail, or start guiding the nail into its final shape. And this is going to save us not only time, but product. If we are not overlaying, right, unnecessary free edge, then we're saving tons of product. And again, we are overlaying, right, and self-leveling our gel with a purpose here and directly straight on the final product. Very important as part of general shaping, clean up the tracks of the nail. Make sure it's straight. So look at my file positioning. After I break in here, I move on to making it very straight, right? I am tapering my free edge. Again, just a general file. I'm not getting too caught up on making it perfect. I just want my gel to self-level on this nail here. Okay, so everything looks nice and straight, nice and tidy. Not perfect, but pretty close. And this is just where our overlaying is going to happen. Again, doing this now saves us time, it gives us clarity, and it allows us to save product, right? Applying it where it does not need to be applied. Okay, so with that said, I have prepped you for step 11, which is overlaying this extension, and we're going to do it in 2 layers. Consider this layer here, the layer that basically is going to glue or attach the gel base to the free edge. Okay, and you want to be very, very diligent with this layer, and the amount of product you will need is thin but generous. Okay, and you want to get as close as possible to the perimeter of the nail, so cuticle area, side walls. Notice how I turn my brush. Again, very, very diligent. This is going to eliminate breakage by a lot. It almost guarantees that your gel extension is not going to break if you do the next few steps right, of course. So when you're happy, you will give this layer a full cure. All right, after you've fully cured that layer, you're going to take a second coat of this gel and you are going to overlay it again. Now, it's up to you whether you want to do a wet layer first for this bead of gel to self-level on, but because I want this nail extension to have volume, because I want it to be strong, I am not going to do a wet layer and then self-level. This type of gel, the soft potted gel, in this case it's a Japanese gel brand. Most soft potted gel is Japanese. Self-levels nicely without the wet layer. And when you use the wet layer, right, a layer of gel that you have not cured, that's what I mean by wet, W-E-T. When you use that layer, it does actually self-level beautifully. So if you're doing natural nails, by all means do that technique. But because I'm doing these extensions and I want volume and I want the thickness to remain pretty consistent throughout the nail, I am not going to use a wet layer of gel first to self-level this bead. I'm going to focus on maintaining my apex and just making sure that there is gel on the entire nail surface here. And notice how I keep my brush again perpendicular and I keep myself vertical, right, up and down, up and down. I find again that when I went side to side, when I used to do my gel extensions, I used to get a little too wide. And again, it will self-level. This type of gel, soft potted gel, is typically runnier That's a word, I think it is. So it will still self-level. I don't have to, it's not going to get away from me. Not if I do it this way. So I'm using the reflection of the light to find any grooves, any divots, any low points, any valleys, right, to fill in. And the more I touch this gel, the more it self-levels. Again, the reason why I'm not using a wet layer, applying a bead, and self-leveling is because I don't want it to get too thin at the side walls. You see me really focusing here on those areas because that's where the breakage happens. So once I'm happy, I give this a flash cure and then a full cure. All right, so now this nail is fully cured, and you can see because I started my finish filing earlier, right? My tracks there don't need much work. For finish filing, you'll need 3 nail files or buffers. You'll need a 180 grit Emery board, a 180 grit board file, and a 100 to 180 grit sponge buffer. So go ahead and cleanse the nail of the tacky residue. And again, you'll need your Emery board to be able to get into the sides because Emery boards are these thin files here that allow you to easily get in to those side walls. If you use your board files are thicker. They're like at least 3 times thicker than an Emery board, so that's a little hard to break into. All right, so I usually file the free edge first, and I call my free edge zone 1. So I use I use my board file from free edge to apex, and that's my zone 1. To taper it up, to clean it up, to make it smooth. And never do I take my board file and put it flat on the apex, because apex is what's going to give my nail strength. So notice, once I'm in, right, with my board file, once I've broken in there, I keep it very straight. I match the corners of the cuticle area to the corners on the free edge. And that's going to keep me from getting a wide flared nail. I taper my free edge. I do the client's view, right? In this case, from this angle here. If you're doing it on a client, just flip her hand. And I'm checking my apex, making sure that that's smooth. Again, half of my apex to the free edge. That's what I use my board file for, my 180 grit board file. And with soft gel, I promise you that if you do this correctly, and if you practice it, and if you take your time, and if you allow self-leveling to do its work, right, gravity, to do the self-leveling work for you, you will not have to, by any means, use a lot of effort to file these extensions into shape. You'll need very little pressure, very little, because the nail is already formed for you. And again, having taken the form off right after building the free edge really gives you clarity and allows you to just put product and self-level just where you need to apply product and self-level. Okay, so notice I'm really not going into this nail hard at all. I am just taking my board file and adjusting some things, right? Specifically, you see me coming back to those side walls. Those are so important. Now, I'm going to use my sponge buffer for that zone 2, which I call zone 2 from cuticle area to the other half of the apex, right? So from the middle of the nail, just about to the free edge, to the cuticle area, that is my zone 2. And for that, I simply use my sponge buffer. I do not use my board file at all. I think I know. That's because If you do this correctly, which again, it just takes practice, your cuticle area should never be so thick that you find yourself needing to take a board file and getting in there and filing. It's going to save you so much time. All you should need for that cuticle area is a sponge buffer. That area should already be thin because you should not have applied a ton of gel there. I'm going to just take care of final details here. And again, you find me going back to the tracks, right? The tracks of the nail, those lateral side walls. And that's just because you just want to make sure that nail is nice and straight. And maybe it's like a pet peeve of mine. Alright, so now I take the entire sponge buffer and go over the entire surface of the nail. I should say that instead of... and just go up and down from free edge to the apex, and then just marry it all together. Nice and smooth. And again, if we did this correctly, you don't need to make so much additional filing here. So check your side walls, make sure they're straight. It's coming right out of the nail there. And clean it up, right? Get rid of dust. I always like to clean it also with the lint-free wipe here. Always clean with a lint-free wipe and alcohol solution before you apply your color. You never just want to brush because you're gonna have little dust particles that are gonna get into your color. That nail is all set and ready for you to proceed with color or nail art if that's what you're doing. I'm in a little bit in an orange mood at this time, so I'm gonna go ahead and just show you how smooth, right? How perfect this gel extension is. And again, you didn't see me tossing my files over the apex of this nail. I just did a little bit of filing with my board file and my sponge buffer, and look how nice and smooth the surface of the nail is. It just takes practice. And we are done. I hope this video helped you, and if you learned something new in this video, make sure to subscribe to my channel. Just click on the subscribe button right now. And if you want exclusive techniques that I only share with subscribers, hop onto paolaponcenails.com and sign up to the newsletter. Now it's your turn. What technique from this video are you eager to try right now? Comment below. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.